All right, so today we're diving deep into a legend.
Mm-hmm.
You ready for this?
Absolutely. Always ready for a good legend.
The legend of Dukang.
Okay.
He is supposedly the inventor of alcohol in Chinese culture.
Fascinating.
So we're going to talk about the story itself, but also what it might tell us about ancient Chinese values.
I like it.
And how this guy Dukang still kind of shapes their culture today.
It's amazing how these ancient stories can still resonate, thousands of years later.
Totally.
So much of what we do now is rooted in the past.
Exactly. So let's go back in time to ancient China, way back before people even knew about like the joys of a good drink. Or maybe even the perils of one, right?
The good and the bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So our sources introduce us to this guy, Dukang.
Okay.
He lived in this mountainous region called Goni.
Goni, all right.
So what do we know about this Dukang guy?
Well, from what I've gathered, he was really into nature. Like a real nature enthusiast.
Right.
Particularly fascinated by plants and their properties, their uses.
I like him already.
You could say he was like an early scientist, a proto-scientist, always experimenting, always trying to understand the world around him.
So is that how he stumbles upon this?
Yeah, well, the story goes that he's out exploring one day.
Okay.
And he finds these really unique grains.
Okay.
They're golden, and they've got this aroma.
Oh, wow.
Something he's never encountered before.
Like intoxicating already.
It's described as intoxicating, yeah.
Wow.
So he's intrigued, right?
Yeah.
He carefully gathers these grains, stores them away, thinking, I need to learn more about this.
Okay.
But then, as often happens in these legends, nature intervenes.
Oh.
A big rainstorm hits.
Oh, no.
And his roof, it's got a leak.
Oh, man, those poor grains.
And you guessed it, the grains get soaked.
Soaked.
Now, most people would have probably just, tossed them, they're ruined, what can you do?
Right.
But not Dukang, he's curious, remember?
He is like a proto-scientist.
Exactly.
I love it.
He keeps those soggy grains.
Interesting.
Maybe he had a hunch,
Maybe.
that something interesting could happen.
That's a good hunch.
Yeah, turned out to be a pretty good hunch.
And something did happen,
That's
right?
good.
What happened to those grains?
Those damp grains just sitting there.
Yeah.
They start to ferment.
Oh, wow.
And a new aroma starts to fill the air.
Different for the first aroma.
Totally different. This is something new.
Okay.
And it's this aroma that really piques Dukang's curiosity. It draws him in. He's got to figure this out.
Yeah?
And eventually, he takes a taste.
Oh, he does?
He does.
Bold move.
He was an adventurous guy, remember? Always exploring.
Yeah.
So he takes a sip of this fermented concoction.
All right.
And, the legend says he was delighted.
What? He liked it?
He loved it. He found it warming. It made him feel good.
Interesting.
Maybe a little shift in perception. Who knows?
Right. It's alcohol after all.
Exactly.
So he likes it. What does he do next?
Well, this is what I find so fascinating about Dukang.
Yeah.
He doesn't just stop there. He's not just happy with the accident.
Right.
That scientific mind of his, it kicked into gear.
Yeah.
He wants to understand what happened.
So he's not just a drinker, he's a thinker too.
Exactly. So he starts experimenting, refining the process, trying different things, figuring out the variables.
He becomes a brewer.
He becomes a master brewer.
That's incredible.
And, this also tells us something about the culture back then.
What's that?
That they valued knowledge, they valued mastery.
Interesting. Okay.
Dukang wasn't just lucky, he was dedicated.
Yeah, he was a hard worker.
Absolutely, and his hard work pays off.
Does it ever?
Word of this amazing brew starts to spread.
Okay.
And eventually, it reaches the emperor himself.
Oh, wow. All the way to the top.
The emperor, he's intrigued.
I bet he is.
He hears these stories of this incredible drink.
Yeah.
This magical, transformative beverage.
And so he sends someone to check it out.
He sends an envoy to Goni to investigate this drink, to meet Dukang.
So this is a big deal now.
It's a very big deal.
The emperor's involved.
Exactly.
So what happens when the envoy gets there?
Well, the envoy tastes the brew and is immediately impressed.
I bet.
Goes back to the emperor and says,
what does he say?
You've got to try this stuff. It's amazing.
So what does the emperor do?
The emperor, he's so intrigued that he decides to go to Goni himself.
No way.
Yeah, to meet Dukang, to share a drink with him.
This is like a huge honor for Dukang.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the emperor of China.
Coming to his home.
To share a drink with him.
Incredible, right?
So what happens at this meeting?
Well, this meeting is a turning point for Dukang.
Okay.
The emperor, he recognizes the significance of this discovery.
Of alcohol.
Of alcohol, exactly.
Okay.
And so he bestows a title upon Dukang.
A title?
He names him the god of alcohol.
The god of alcohol. Wow.
Isn't that something?
That's quite a title.
But it wasn't just a symbolic title.
What do you mean?
It came with responsibility.
Oh, okay.
Dukang was now tasked with teaching others
about brewing.
Brewing about this knowledge he had discovered.
Wow, so he becomes a teacher.
He becomes a teacher, yeah.
And what does he teach?
Well, he teaches the technical stuff, of course.
Right, how to brew.
The process, the ingredients, all of that.
Yeah.
But he also emphasizes something very important.
What's that?
Moderation.
Oh, interesting.
There's a famous saying attributed to Dukang.
Okay.
Alcohol is the head of all medicines. Enjoy in moderation. Overindulgence harms the body.
Wow, that's pretty profound.
It is, isn't it?
For a guy who supposedly just discovered alcohol.
He clearly understood its power.
Yeah, both good and bad.
Both the benefits and the dangers.
And so he's teaching that to others.
He's teaching that balance, that respect for the drink.
It's incredible how this ancient wisdom,
I know, right?
still applies today.
It's timeless, isn't it?
So Dukang's legacy is more than just alcohol.
Absolutely.
It's about responsible consumption.
It's about appreciating the craft.
Respecting the process.
Understanding the balance.
And that message, it became deeply ingrained in Chinese culture.
Oh, absolutely.
To this day, Dukang's name.
Yeah.
It's still synonymous with fine alcohol.
Top shelf stuff.
His hometown, Goni, they preserve his memory.
There are temples, festivals, all dedicated to Dukang.
Wow. So his story is still told.
It's passed down through generations.
It's amazing to think.
It is.
That it all started with
a leaky roof.
A leaky roof.
A bitter rain.
And some soggy grains.
And a curious mind.
Yeah, Dukang.
The god of alcohol.
That's a great story.
It is, isn't it?
It makes you think about all the other everyday things in our lives.
Exactly.
That might be
fascinating.
Crazy origin stories.
Oh, I'm sure there are a ton of them.
Just waiting to be discovered.
Hidden in history. Just waiting for us to dig them up.
That's a good place to leave it.
I think so.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with me.
Always a pleasure.
Until next time.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Cheers to